Walking into the city council meeting, there were 8 chairs that faced the community members. There were only a few rows of chairs for us to sit in. On a table next to the rows of chairs were pamphlets of the agenda for that day, and if someone had a visual aid, they could be found there too. In front of the 8 chairs in a half circle was a large rectangle table with 8 more chairs. I was told that the table was there for emergency meetings or if the board had to look at maps. This is where they would go. I sat there for a little bit before they did roll call. The entire meeting went very fast, as the majority of the stuff that was discussed were given to the board members almost a week in advance. Roll call consisted of 8 members. Starting from the farthest away from the treasurer, there is Jeff Kennedy, who represented the West Ward and is also the president. Randy Wiscoviak represented the East Ward. Joyce Hudson is the mayor. Jay Richardson represented the East Ward. Verlin Jansen represented the West Ward. Connie Dalrymple is the city clerk and treasurer. Bruce Clymer is the city administrator, and Mike Bacon is the city attorney. Everyone attended. After roll call was the public hearings. There were only 4 public hearings, but one was crossed off because they knew that they wouldn't have time for it. It was moved to the next meeting. The first hearing was the one continued from their last meeting in June. They closed all of the hearings but the one that they had moved. The next step was approval of consent agenda. This was the part that moved extremely fast. There were 7 items that were in this section. This step moved very fast because the board members were given the information almost a week in advance. I had asked after the meeting why this part goes extremely fast, and the treasurer told me that they received the information a week in advance so that they can finalize in all one motion. If someone had a complaint or comment on the information that was given, they could voice their opinions then. Approval of City and Public Works Division claims and payroll was the next thing on the agenda. The board members were given a piece of paper with all the information on it. After talking with the treasurer for a while after the meeting, she showed me the piece of paper with all the expenses on it. On this piece of paper was the information about the expenses that they paid for and who got the money. The board members looked it over quickly and voted to approve it. The community comments I thought was very interesting. A couple people voiced their concerns on the projects that were going on in town. One project was stated was a project on Highway 30 in Lake. They complained about the traffic obstruction, the cost of the project, and the necessity of the project. They stated that this project made it too hard to see the oncoming traffic. They tabled the agenda for the next meeting to name the project. The treasurer explained to me that when people come to voice their opinion, they have to have a table and agenda. This is so that they can fit into the next meeting. You have to have a written form of your action you are wanting to address. If someone were to come up and say that they were going to do a project and they needed approval, it would be shot down. After talking with Connie, she told me that they have an open axe meeting on the north wall of the room. She told me that this was for the community comments because it helps stop arguments and make the meetings go faster. It's posted for everyone to see so that everyone can know how the meetings are regulated. The last thing on the agenda were the discussions. They had 6 things to discuss that they were all tabled to the next meeting. When the meeting concluded, I had the chance to sit down with the treasurer, Connie. I had a lot of questions because the meeting went by so fast. She printed out quite a few papers for me to look at and explained in detail what each part entailed. She told me about the agenda and the meeting notices. Connie explained that each week an agenda is posted in the local newspaper. Special and emergency meetings are posted 24 hours before, and notices are located in only 3 places. One spot was the First State Bank, the second is Gothenburg State Bank, and lastly is the City Hall. She also explained that nothing can be added to the agenda after 4:30 p.m. on the Monday before the meeting. Connie put so much effort into making the meetings go as smoothly as possible. She helps people in the community voice their concerns.